Yeah, it's the business model of social media companies and big tech companies themselves is the issue, right? Because if their best way of making money is to make you spend as much time as possible on their platforms and to serve you content you want to see, which is just reinforcing your already pre-existing worldview, like, yes, that is radicalizing or separating us into different camps and resulting in tribalism, but that's sort of in the motivation of these companies to continue making money.
They have no incentive to do it any other way.
Yeah.
I guess is the issue.
But the thing is, like, these companies could be making a lot of money still without doing it to the extreme it's currently being done. You know what I mean? And I think we've seen...
Which part, though? The advertising? Because I think a lot of people would argue, like, there's nothing really wrong with advertising, right?
But it's not just targeted advertising as much as, like, tailoring your feed to your interests. Like, that's not a bad thing if an algorithm notice I click on hockey highlights on YouTube a lot and I keep getting served that. I don't see any problem with that, right? That I'm not being exposed to other sports highlights that other people find interesting, and I'm a hockey fan and someone else is a soccer fan. Who cares? But when it comes to, I guess, political content, do these platforms have some sort of editorial responsibility not to allow people to disseminate fake news? And then the obvious concern there is who gets to decide what information should or shouldn't be shared on that platform. Because a lot of them, like YouTube, have always argued that they are not, they don't have an editorial function or objective with the content. They're just platforms that host things.
But eventually they did kind of change their stance on that, right? And they started deleting things that they now decided fall under hate speech and so on that didn't used to.
And I guess the question is, how do you decide what is hate speech? How do you decide what is fake news?
Yeah.
And who do you trust to make those decisions for you?
And it's a room full of 20 tech people making these decisions. Like,
a bunch of
tough.
tech bros.
I don't
right?
envy the people making these decisions. It's got to be hard and difficult, and I'm sure they go through focus groups and they try their best, but no one is ever going to be happy, because you're either going to be on the side of what the hell, my video or my content got taken down, but it is totally reasonable, or like you believe that to be the case. And there's going to be other people who like, why isn't this person's video taken down? It's insulting me personally, but maybe it just didn't meet the threshold for the hate speech or fake news that platform had previously.
Yeah, I really don't know. There's, like we said, there's no obvious answer here. And I think you sort of touched on a point about media literacy early. That's really important. Like,
for young people?
I think especially for young people. And I think we saw Linz DeFranco, I think, is involved in some organization that's trying to teach young people how to interpret the news they're being exposed to on social media and be able to differentiate between fake or false news stories and real, and how to question sources. And I think that really just has to become a very normal thing that we teach young people, like, how to question.
In the curriculum, in the regular school curriculum, it should be.
Maybe, but yeah, like not to take away responsibility from these social media platforms, but unless there's some top-down government regulation of them in some way, I think a lot of it is just on to people to sort of learn how to navigate this brave new world we're in right now.
That's how I've always felt, because people often ask me, like, what do you do about hate on the internet, for example, and which is just something that's against me or that I don't like in theory. But like, I'm not going to go to the websites and demand that they take things down. I guess I've just kind of accepted that things happen in the world that are against me in some way. So the best way that I can deal with it is by like ignoring it and accepting it for what it is and continuing on my life in a positive way. So I kind of feel that same logic can be applied here. But I really don't want that to be misunderstood as, oh, who cares? Let the platforms do whatever they want. And then we have to be the people who regulate if we choose to delete Facebook, because that's the better decision for our mental health. Or if we choose to unfollow so-and-so, because that's the better decision for our mental health. I don't want people to think like it's all on us.
Yeah.
And it's not on the platforms. But I just think in the interim, something practical that you can do today is think about who you're following, what you're on, whether or not you're okay with your data, being owned in some cloud and whoever's third party, or just like thinking about being a smart consumer and a smart content consumer. So those are things you can actually do. And maybe that's why I'm kind of on that side of the argument, because I like practical things that you can take into your hands and do yourself.
Yeah, like
Can't rely on other people.
at the very end of the documentary, like while the credits are rolling, they start talking about some of like the real steps you can take if you agree that this is a problem and you want to do something about it. The obvious one is just deleting social media. And I would ask people to consider I'm not going to just delete social media out of my life altogether.
We're biased because we run social media accounts.
We
So
ma-
we didn't even
we have a
acknowledge that.
vested interest
We are
in this.
biased, and we make money from you watching our content, or indirectly from you following us. Your follow doesn't directly make us money, but it does indirectly. Because
Sure,
then
yeah,
you
okay.
see ads and whatever.
Good point. Yeah, we probably should have acknowledged that right at the beginning.
But despite our bias, we're still telling people to like, if it's harmful to you, or you don't like someone's content, or it's not good for your mental health, like, then I encourage people to take the steps to make, the decisions that are best for them. And if that means deleting your Facebook account like Ben did 8 years ago, then
Yeah, I would ask you to go through the same thought process I did. Like, what do you get out of the apps you're using right now? It's good to do just like a little audit or review of like the technology you use on your phone once in a while, right? Are you getting anything out of Facebook? Are you getting anything out of Twitter other than just getting into random arguments with internet strangers?